reload.
Yeah,
There we go.
it's there.
Good.
I clicked the recording and the streaming button, so it's canon.
Oh wow, this is a fucking great list.
Yeah, man.
I would
Yeah.
say I know all these people pretty well, other than 18, 17, 16, and maybe 20. But everybody else I've played personally many times.
Nice.
Good.
Like
But
many,
personally,
many.
I mean, this is only online, but I've never lost to Crovey before.
Should we start with that point?
I think we have to.
When did you guys play? Yeah, we can start.
What's that, Chris?
Are we starting now? Like, is this it? Like,
Yeah, we can start
with that. You're just gonna start with that.
What an opener, huh?
It's fine by me.
Yeah, so if we're getting at Crovey here, his worst loss being 30, really good. His next worst loss being 21, and then everything else is high ranks. I mean, that's just all fantastic with grid wins on Jaime, Bark, Caleb. Pretty much everyone that he's beat ended up being like ranked or expansion pack.
Yeah, how many tournaments did he attend? That's insanely.
Only 2. He went to Crovey Fest and SmashCon.
Okay, that makes more sense.
It was
Let's
pretty
go,
difficult, like ranking me, Crovey, and Low, because there's pretty similar like wins and losses between those three. But Crovey, in the Division 1 pool he was in at SmashCon, did really well. He placed third in probably like the hardest D1 pool. I was talking to Hammerheart about it because Hammerheart was in that pool too, along with me. He pointed out the top 6 players in that pool were all like ranked like 21 or above.
That's wild.
So,
Like it had me, Crovey, like Hammerheart, Josh, Jaime.
Was Caleb in that pool too?
No.
Okay.
The other 3 players in that pool were Beef, who obviously like can beat anyone, and Goon, who also like seems like someone who can beat anyone, and then NoobTube, who was a little like outmatched in that pool, but had like a really crazy run at SmashCon to get there.
He had a lot of good wins going there.
I wanted to bring up that pool because even though I agree by like definition, it probably was the hardest D1 pool out of the bunch, but I would say that it like worked out like beneficially for Crovey to be in that pool because almost everyone in that pool besides like Kraba and I guess Josh Brody, he's played the rest of them pretty much like a good amount, so he was familiar with like almost all the players in that pool, so there wasn't much to surprise him really, so like he felt comfortable being in that pool despite it being a lot of good players.
Yeah, I mean like still like he came third in that pool, which is just like insane when you consider like fourth in that pool was Jaime, who isn't even on this 22-11 list. He placed higher than that, and he didn't even make it out in winner's side from that pool.
Dude, yeah, that is
insane.
Dude. Yeah, for real.
Who are we talking about?
Crovey.
Mr. 20.
Good. Specifically, Crovey's performance in D1 in SmashCon, I think, is what pushed him to like this high of a ranking.
Yeah,
because I think he really
his Caleb one was really good too.
Yeah, definitely.
Well,
that was
I
very
guess
clutch.
we should also mention this has to be where was Crovey ranked last year? I'm thinking he had
46, I think 45.
Yeah, quite the breakout year here. I'm sure he hadn't had wins on Jaime or Brody.
I got the.
He definitely had really good wins online.
He's been Jaime online before.
Yeah, online.
I kind of got the sense already from even just last year that he was still adjusting to console a little bit, and he had the skill to already be around this range.
I think leading up to SmashCon, he like won a couple consecutive like online tournaments over Jaime.
Wow.
He's talked about how he was uncomfortable on console
for a little
Mhm.
bit. I think he told me he used to get like really distracted, so maybe it was that.
Yeah, that's one
Oh,
thing that
yeah.
I've always noticed,
Yeah.
especially when I first started playing, was I started hearing everything around me.
Not when you play me.
No, just
I think
no,
yeah,
it's-
being in like a loud, noisy venue is like the biggest
Mm-hmm.
adjustment you have to make to playing offline. It's not really emulator versus console so much as that for me.
Yeah.
yeah.
I put on headphones now.
I
Like,
was
I didn't hear
thinking
the
about
game
the
noise.
headphones route, but I'm just used to not, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I tried headphones for
really-
like 2 sets last year just to give it a go, and it was a little bizarre just because I hadn't tried it for anything else.
Yeah, you let me like borrow your headphones too. I remember trying it. It was a little weird.
Yeah.
Playing at
Chris-
SmashCon especially is like super overwhelming. Like you hear like the crowd, like huge crowd off in the distance going like ah,
Yeah.
some like
Yeah,
melee or
like,
ultimate stuff.
By
You got the
comparison,
fucking you got the loudspeaker playing ultimate music. It's like all fucking day long. It's so much noise.
by comparison, the other tournament he went to, Krovi Fest, it's a lot like calmer.
Yeah, that
Just-
one was just like a quiet room with a
Leonardo's-
CRT.
Despite Leonardo's commentary, it was
Yeah.
calmer.
And just Leo sitting in the corner like cracking jokes at your gameplay.
Yeah.
That was like the only hard part of that tournament.
Yeah, but can we talk about like the Krovi Fest for a little bit? Like,
I want to
Yeah,
talk about.
I
I
wanna-
want to talk about the
I
ledge
wanna-
trap for a second.
yeah, well, highlight that like that loss right there. You know. Like,
Oh my god, you
What-
can't
what-
help yourself, Chris. Let
What-
people have their moment, man.
I mean, my favorite like moment of that tournament was Krovi like ledge stalling in the Vostok Falcon Ditto, and then Chris just runs up and pivot ledge hogs. Wasn't that to end the set?
Yeah.
It was to end
That
the
was
set,
that
yeah.
was like one of the best plays of the year, honestly. In my
that's
books.
it's so ballsy because if you miss that, you're almost assuredly dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really bad spot to be in. If
And you
don't
see
hit
like
it.
people go for those ballsy plays and just lose off of it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
What convinced you to go for it? Was it like the third time and you're just like, oh, he's just gonna do this again, or
Was it
like
the
kind of like a
commentator?
I honestly wasn't like I've mentioned before. I don't really like hear like surrounding noise. I'm pretty good like just kind of blocking it out. So I didn't even like pay attention to that at all. I just
Mhm.
like saw the opportunity and I was like, because he was just like stalling. So I was like, yeah, I might as well try this. You know. I sort of
He
conditioned
seems-
him. Because I haven't done it all set, so I sort of conditioned him to like think that it wasn't gonna happen.
yeah, he is a really patient player, and he will just like take his time to sit on the ledge like that. If
Also,
you're not going to
he's,
do anything
like,
about it.
Got some really like well thought out like game plans. I feel like when I play him, it's pretty like he's got these like flow charts and he's so good at
Mhm.
like leading into them.
Yeah, Crowley, like, he's real nice guy. Like I think out of all the players that I think out of everyone, I'm probably the player who's hung out with him the most IRL,
Mhm.
most likely. Even despite that, like he lives like 3 hours away from me. But I've played Smash at his house before, and we've
Awesome.
like gone to Seattle a couple times together. I just want to like bring that up because like he's just a really chill guy. Because like when this one time we were like coming back from Seattle, right? This one tournament, and my car broke down on the way back,
Mm.
and like I was in the midst of like because like we were in a different country, keep in mind, right? And it was like a
Mhm.
Sunday. Nobody was going to take my car in, pretty much. I'm in the midst of like tearing my own face off, pretty much. And he's just like standing by me, just like, like I'm just like, oh, I'm sorry, man, like this is happening and stuff. And he's just like, oh, I'm just glad I get to hang out with you more today, so,
Yeah.
it
What
was
a
pretty-
guy.
Yeah. So,
Alright.
we got to like, hang around pretty much all day because of that. So it was pretty chill,
All right, we'll bump him up a couple spots for the.
Yeah.
He slipped me 100 too, like after that day. So
No, did he
Nice.
really?
just for my troubles, it was also gas money to be fair. So
Mhm.
yeah,
I
What a
imagine
guy.
with both you driving, your heads are probably coming out of the sunroof, right?
we have to have like the roof down, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, he always wants to get better. Like and he grinds so much.
Mhm.
Like he probably asks me to play like 6 or 7 days a week.
Oh, that's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah,
He's always playing
Yeah.
like.
I don't
if
even
he's
think
not
it's a
playing
hot
against someone-
take to say he might be like the biggest grinder in the scene right now.
No, I think
if he's
so.
not, even if he's not playing somebody, he's always on training mode. Like at tournaments, like there's never not a moment where his hands aren't on the sticks. You know.
Yeah.
Where do you guys think he's going to end up next year with all this grinding? Then
So
Higher up.
it's kind of hard to say because, I mean, this is a really high spot to be ranked here.
yeah,
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard
Especially
to
this
picture
year.
if he could go much higher at this point. But I mean, who's to know? Who's to say really? Because he's always improving. So
yeah.
it's possible. But I mean, at this is already a very high rank. You know.
Mhm.
Yeah, I feel like once you hit this,
He's a
it's,
powerful
like,
beast.
getting better. Everyone on this list now has at least like 8 years of experience, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll
I
say
will
most-
say, I will say that like this is like only slightly related to this, but I'm glad to see Pacific Northwest had like 6 players on the rankings this year. So let's go.
They showed
I
out.
think that's the most I think we've had on a rankings and out of all of them. I think so.
Awesome.
Watch out. We're gonna be climbing up.
Crovey, I would say, definitely has the potential to climb higher on the rankings next year, but
Mhm.
I think a lot of people in this area do, because like
Yeah.
Yeah.
at the end of the day, all it takes is having like a really good Smash Con, and then
Mhm.
like
I mean,
then you're
a lot of
like
these
5-10 spots higher than you would
It
be.
is the
otherwise.
SmashCon rankings
Yeah.
after all.
a lot of these sets end up being like really close, and you get one thing just breaks your way,
Yeah,
and then you win the set, and that changes a lot. So I mean, let's say he beats Kraba, or for example, he's definitely going to be higher than he is now. So
Mm.
I mean, as far as like so far, like who's our highest ranking non SmashCon player? Was that Hero Pie?
think so.
Yeah, because I think everyone
Yeah.
from here onward,
yeah,
like went. So kind of wild.
But yeah, I think if
Yeah.
Crovey does go to more tournaments, he definitely has the potential to go higher because
Mhm.
if he plays more against like the mid range of players, he'll get like a lot more. He could get a lot more like results from that.
Yeah, and his consistency with his losses is good, like I mentioned earlier too.
Yeah.
All right, do you
Yeah,
guys want to
so-
move on to low then?
On to low. Bye, ETAB and Waxy. Thanks for tuning in for Crovey.
Are they gone?
I think they're grinding, dude.
They heard the Crovey
Um,
grind and they needed to go.
So the
So yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely worth pointing out just how like similar Crovey's wins and losses were to Lowe's.
Yeah,
Like,
we
it's
can
a pretty-
pull both up real quick.
It's a pretty close cut,
I
and
mean,
it really
his-
could have gone either way.
His lowest
Yeah.
loss was 29th compared to Crovey's 30th.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and they both have like we haven't seen Jaime's name yet, but assume it'll probably be pretty close to what would be weighted as a KD3 win.
Mhm.
Yeah.
CTG had a good year, which helped. They both beat Chris, but Crovey split sets with them. Waxy had a cheese year. It's kind of hard to weight how you want to do that. But yeah, just like pretty solid names like after that though, and really only one loss that looks to be surprising, but it was still a top 30 player this
Yeah.
year.
Yeah,
I-
and I'd say like Low, he definitely has like a good spread of wins across like
Mhm.
again like the mid range of players.
Mhm.
Compared to Crovey has a little less, I'd say. Overall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're looking at the rankings, Low has a slightly better set of losses with a similar set of wins.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, because the floor here is Antoine, who's top 30, and then just people ranked above him. So
Mhm.
it was kind of hard to. It was kind of easy to slot him, like at least within this range of 19 to 21 ish. It was just kind of
Mhm.
hard to pin down exactly where.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, Low is super consistent. He doesn't really lose to people. I'm honestly surprised to see the Antoine loss, but I mean Antoine is definitely solid. So
I mean, yeah, it's like we said, it is like a top 30 player. Although part of the reason Antoine is a top 30 player this year is because he beat Low.
Yeah.
Nah.
But I know Low isn't happy with his year for sure because this is probably the lowest he's been ranked for a
Well, he's in
while.
chat right now.
Lowest.
He's in chat right now saying wait for 2024. So
Yeah.
let's see what he's got cooking.
I will say the first time I ever went to a tournament that wasn't my own was at Nebulous in New York City. It was
Yeah.
like maybe 2017, and I sat down with Low, never met him, and he proceeded to like 4-stock me and JB5 me with Fox.
That's fucked up,
like
man.
4 or 5 times in a row, yeah.
Oh gosh, no remorse.
I know when I think first time I met him was Let's Go Baltimore, and he had tweeted out that he like couldn't sleep or something, and I like woke up in the middle of the night. We just met up in the venue at like 4 or 5 a.m. We were just playing for an hour or two.
Oh man.
What a guy. Yeah,
Well,
he
see,
had
that's
like
actually
even
really
though
funny 'cause-
I mean, it's one of those years that I'm sure because these are all players. Like he talked to me a little bit about it before. Like some of his sets, he really felt should have gone his way. I think you mentioned Wizrobe and his
Mhm.
set with Tommy specifically. And like he is that type of player where even though this is like a good year for pretty much anyone else, he's gonna be disappointed losing sets to what many players would consider maybe untouchable.
Mhm.
Mm.
The untouchable Antoine 420.
That's our guy. Yeah.
Yep.
What was the matchup for the Antoine set? Does anyone know?
Pika Yoshi low locked all Pika at SmashCon.
Mhm.
Yeah.
With the way that Antoine was playing against Alvin's Pikachu, it's not a surprise that he was just popping off against Pikachu's there.
Yeah, and he
Yeah,
had the
yeah.
win over Hero Pie too, so just like
Mhm.
super impressive against the Rats this year.
Yeah.
I
Um,
remember
on
commentating
SmackDown,
Low set with Joshi as well. That was like really close. I think honestly, like everyone probably who we're gonna be looking at with with a couple exceptions, like up to maybe the top 5 or so, are gonna have like 1 or 2 kind of like questionable losses.
Yeah,
That's
Like
especially with the
everyone
next,
got upset this year.
I mean, that's kind
especially
of
with
like
the next one coming up.
that's kind of what I was like talking about like last time, where like with how high the level of play has increased overall, like people are starting to like crack through the armor of what most people would say is like, oh, they're untouchable,
yeah, like that 20 to like 30 mid 30s group. A lot of those guys had some of the wins on those players, and it kind of speaks to like just their peak kind of growing a little bit year over year.
Yeah, this year has been really impressive with going through everyone's wins and losses. Tons of good wins going up into even the expansion pack.
It does make it
Yeah.
like also a lot more exciting, like if you're like a spectator, because
Oh, yeah.
just about everyone can beat everyone.
I agree.
Was Low SmashCon only this year?
He went to
Or-
Xanadu.
Oh right, okay.
in my tournament.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah.
think those are the 3 that were counted for him.
Oh, I didn't know that Weiziker one was.
Yeah, that was the one right before after SmashCon with Nax.
I want to say it's where
Oh.
the KD win came from.
Hmm.
Yeah.
KD.
So I guess that tournament did come in clutch for him because of that. So
Yeah.
With 3 tournaments attended, it's kind of surprising that Low has like less wins overall on the board than Crovy did. But I guess it's just because Low is such a strong player that he gets seeded into higher divisions.
Hmm. Yeah, that, and I think a lot of his wins here have really short names.
yeah,
I mean,
That's
like,
true.
I'm
it
pretty
makes
sure,
the lines look smaller.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Low started in D1 at SmashCon, compared to Crovy started in D2. So
Hmm.
Yeah, it's what, like just 8 to 10 sets off rip that you're getting from being in a lower seed.
And D2 has a lot of good players that are in that mid range that would really pad some stats.
Waxy's a stat padding one. JP. You just hope they have better years, after you just like handle your business.
You just hope that Waxy beats Alvin later in the tournament.
Yeah. You're like, oh, like even though I've never lost to him, that looks especially good this year.
Yeah, okay, yeah, you're right. So Lowe's KD3 one was at the Wiseacre tournament,
Okay.
and the Josh one was at Xanadu. Really kind of a quiet Smash Con for
Mhm.
Lowe. Just kind of like beat a bunch of people who are below his floor, but didn't really
He said
punch
he
above
went
his weight at all.
undefeated in D1 though.
At Xanadu.
Oh, at Xanadu. Okay,
Mhm.
sorry.
Yeah.
I know he's been focusing more on Remix this past year, so that could be a reason for him having a down year in his own words.
I
Yeah.
think stuff probably just didn't go his way this time.
That too.
And the SmashCon bracket was pretty tough.
Yeah, that is. I mean, yeah. I mean, like we said, all all very high ranked players, and a lot of these guys are just capable to say the least. So
Mhm.
I don't think Lowe started in losers in SmashCon, right? So I think his losses in bracket were probably Maha in winners, and then Joshi in losers.
Yeah, I want to say he did start in winners because I think he got winners wild card from D1.
yeah. On to Joshi.
Oh man, what an interesting year he had.
Yoshi
doubt.
Myers.
Yoshi Myers.
Yeah.
So this is a very impressive laundry list of wins here, especially that top row.
Yeah. I mean, his wins are insane.
That's the thing that like pushed him to this high of a rank despite the suspect losses.
Yeah. And I guess we can talk about those losses for a moment. How'd you guys look at those losses, considering like they were like a lot of them were in pools and like in a best of 3 context, and we know
So
for some of them
was-
he went secondaries as well.
So I was in Joshi's D2 pool at SmashCon, and I'd say like for like some of his wins that he got, like the JPX and myself, he was like trying to win those sets because he
JP
played
beat him
Kirby.
in that pool.
Well, yeah, I know, but he played Kirby versus both of us, so like
Okay.
that's who he would have gone like normally versus us,
Mhm.
But versus like some of these other players, I watched some of the sets he was playing versus like Sam and Raz, and he was going Falcon versus them, and I could kind of tell like how he was playing. He was just kind of like playing a little goofy at points, like, and it got kind of confirmed, like according to Natty, who back when Joshi lived in NorCal for a good while, like back in like 2018, I think. According to him, like Joshi did like pretty consistently get second and third at the NorCal locals back then,
Mhm.
and he was pretty known to sandbag even back then. So I guess it's not a new thing that he was doing this. Definitely unusual for him to be doing this at SmashCon, but I
Yeah.
guess he was just that confident that he would make it out anyway. Um, he ended up getting third in our pool, I believe, under like JPX and myself. And I guess like with how I viewed that stuff, because I was even sort of questioning it myself, because I think Dogs even asked me like how I view the Joshi sets differently than say like I think he was like asking like me like with like compared to Boom, who was also going other characters, I guess. And I guess like with how I justified it in my head was, even though Joshi was he was like going like Falcon and stuff, like his characters he doesn't normally play, but he was also just not really fully in it with those sets. Whereas like compared to like Boom, right, who even though he was playing characters that the Twitter poll determined that he was going to be playing, he was trying his absolute hardest to win those sets. He wasn't like throwing.
Right. He's practicing
So
those
I guess,
characters
yeah,
months
that's
beforehand. So
Yeah, so I guess that to me is how I valued those kind of things differently. Like somebody actively sandbagging compared to like somebody actually trying despite playing different characters than they would normally play.
yeah, I tried not to look at it too differently because you can't give that benefit of the doubt to him because maybe that happened with other people too that you just don't know. The
Yeah, you don't know the story
circumstances,
of every set.
you don't know the story of every set. So
Yeah,
I try to look
that's
at
fair. Yeah.
pretty like down the line, but his wins, despite having those losses, his wins were like undeniable.
Yeah.
I mean, that top row of wins is crazy. They're pretty much all in the top 25. And then was that 6, 7? I mean, currently it's the best list of wins in
Oh
any,
yeah,
of
Yeah,
anyone
yeah.
so far that we've seen.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, even
And, you know,
like the quote unquote mid tier level wins, like
Mhm.
between Beeve, Chris, JP, and then Raichu and Egg getting them twice, I think is a pretty nice deal for them for this range.
Mhm.
Because Raichu and Egg have both proved they can kind of pop off against like this range of players every now and then.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd say like the wins definitely like proved like that he like belongs here, I would say,
Mhm.
you know, despite the losses.
Yeah. Who is his who eliminated him at SmashCon? Is it
I know he
Alvin
played,
maybe?
I
I
think it
know
was
he played
Alvin.
Yoshiki, but that was a game 5, and I think that was in bracket, but that wasn't winners.
Okay.
it was Alvin. Yeah,
Okay.
and Senta Losers by Kiro, I think.
Mm. So maybe I was talking about pools then.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they were in the same D1 pool, Kiyoshi and
Okay.
Joshi, so
Okay. Yeah, that was an incredibly close set. I think I was the only one watching it. It was like they were character switching back and forth, and it ended up being I think Joshi was up 2-1 at some point, and then Kiyoshi locked in Pikachu, or not Pikachu, Kirby for a while, and then took the last 2 games.
Dang.
also a game 5 set with 0 in that
Mhm.
pool as well that Joshi lost. But
He won a game 5 set against myself in that pool.
right, that's a tough
Wild
pool.
pool.
that sounds
Yeah,
pretty like a tough
yeah,
pool.
it was hard. It was him. It was Kix. It was Take, Kiyoshi, Raichu, Zero, Natty, and Demols.
That pool had
Yeah, Natty
4
was kind of going
Japanese
off in that pool.
Yeah, Natty beat both the Japanese. Well, not Kiyoshi, but he beat Kix and Take.
Mhm.
I don't know who else he beat. I know Ray upset Zero.
How was there 4 Japanese people in one pool? That's absurd.
Well, there were 3,
Three.
right?
3. It's just how it worked out, you know.
Yeah,
Which is still a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
unluck of the draw. You know, they
It's got to
fly
be
all the way
sad
out here
playing
and
your
play each other.
countrymen or just yeah.
yeah, I
At
don't
risk of
think I don't think
elimination.
I don't think it was very fun for Take.
No.
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 Well, and you know, Take's tweets today were a little bit sad to hear.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
he said he's like semi-retiring or something.
Yeah, that's what he was saying.
Unfortunate.
Very such a positive guy.
Take, if you're watching, I mean, right after the breakthrough, you can't let it go down like that, man. You got to come back.
No,
I think he's been saying for a while that he kind of feels like Smash is like dying a little bit in Japan, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, he's been talking
Yeah,
about how
that's true.
he's not had like a lot of motivation in recent times to play, which is
maybe
unfortunate to hear.
maybe it'll come back at some point with a little bit of a break.
I know he's talked before that it's like much harder to stay motivated with how the Japan scene is like now
Mhm.
compared to years past. Like a lot of people just don't seem to be playing nearly as much anymore.
Well,
Yeah.
a lot of these top Japanese players are people that have been playing since like 2007, like
Yeah.
Wario, for example.
Yeah, it's like hard to like we only think of them as like, oh, like he busted onto our scene at like what 2015, like that's just 8 years, but he was a very strong player for a while before that, and I know Kiyoshike was like knocking on the door for a while before he was considered like one of their best players as well.
Mhm.
If you check back in like those really old like Josuke tournament wins, like players like that were still appearing. You know.
I think at that time, like I think out of like the really good players now, like Kuraba was like really like actually like a new player like around that time, like 2014, 2015.
Yeah.
Kuraba, I think, started in 2016.
I know he started in 2014. I know that as a fact because I know he had been playing for like 2 years before he came to SmashCon in 2016.
He beat Karo at his first month of playing. I'm pretty sure.
That's like Lord Tet shit.
Yeah, like at the time he was like the third best Yoshi coming to SmashCon that year, and then he like placed the best out of all of them.
It's a sign of things to come for him, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, Joshi here.
Yes.
Joshi's just been super impressive, right? Like, his Inca Fest was, I'm not sure. I know he lost to Alvin. And did he play Dogs there?
Yeah, he eliminated Dogs for top 8.
I'm gonna say some losses to Jimmy, Tavamano. I mean, obviously Tavamano's amazing.
Well, we don't really know much about. I'm guessing that's Arequipa, Jimmy.
Yeah, I don't know too much about like Ray Falcon's skill level or Jimmy's skill level, but you know, with Tavamano and Alvin, it's like, you know, those are great.
Ray Falcon is a very strong player.
Yeah, Ray Falcon's good. I saw a couple of sets. Him and Dogs Johnson had a super close set.
Yeah,
it might have only been a best of 3. It might have been pools, but I mean, Ray Falcon seemed pretty good to me. I mean, they had a super tight set.
I mean, anyone keeping it close with Dogs is obviously very good.
My understanding of the Peru scene is you can pick any guy off the street and you can probably take Wario to last stock in the Picadillo or Falcon Pika. They're just super good against Falcon, Pika, and Kirby all together.
But even the players who have been playing for like over a decade still can't beat Yoshi.
Hey man,
I don't even. He probably didn't play as Yoshi for that entire time.
Well, Yoshi's a DLC character, as they say. So.
He's the best remix character.
And he didn't release in Peru yet, so.
Yeah, he's actually really nerfed in their version. It's just not worth picking him up.
No, but yeah, I didn't get a chance to see the Jimmy guy, but no, Ray Falcon seemed very strong from what I saw.
Yeah, we know how strong Tavamano is from years past as well.
It is worth mentioning too that Alvin like picked up Yoshi and used Yoshi to do really well at a couple tournaments in Peru.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's pulled out the Yoshi at SmashCon too.
Yeah, and then also JKR, best like solo Yoshi man from Peru.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see his name
Josh
coming
Brody.
Up. Honestly, we'll see his name coming up.
Yeah, JKR is really good. Yeah.
This year at Inca Fest.
Yeah.
Frequent top 8 placer.
Yeah, like I'm glad they're starting to embrace Yoshi a little more, kind of beating the allegations, so to speak.
Well,
but
Yoshi's broken, so
in his own way, yes.
They just want to be more fair, you know. Like
yeah. Yeah. So, any other words on Yoshi?
I mean, he's a really strong player. Like when I played him, like you know, it's just like hard to get in on him. Basically, is like how I'd like sum it up. You know.
Yeah, I wasn't here for the whole discussion about Yoshi, but it seems like I've played Yoshi in both doubles and singles, and it seems like he plays to his opponent's level, so to speak. If that makes any sense. Like, I don't know how much of that is intentional sandbagging, like you guys were talking about earlier. I don't know all the context, but behind some of these sets.
Yeah.
But I think that he does kind of like, there's just some players that are really good, right? But like they
need someone to push
up.
them.
Yeah, they play up or play down to their opponent's level to a certain extent. I think he might be one of those players because we've all seen like his potential. Like look at him at Xanadu Origins, he killed it there.
Yeah,
he did. He even did great at SmashCon last year. I think he ended up getting just out of top. Yeah, I think him and Sheeman had a super close set at the end of the previous year. But I mean whenever I mean, with these big tournaments, biggest tournament of the year, SmashCon, he consistently does well.
Yeah, the two biggest tournaments of the
Even,
year.
even if he has like a couple, hiccups like earlier in pools or something like that.
Yeah, he always seems to
is
close
kind
out well, even with like a weird pools loss. So
It is kind of the Alvin thing. Like I know Alvin kind of does that. He sort of plays down to like people's skill level a bit.
Hmm.
I wonder. I wonder if Joshi has consistently had like controller problems over the years. I feel like sometimes when I play him, he just makes like bizarre mistakes, and sometimes it's like he's accidentally taunting, or like, so you guys ever notice that? So I wonder if like I wonder if he has a like a fucked up controller or something.
Maybe
I've never noticed that, but I'll have to look for it moving forward.
I noticed it more in doubles than anything over the years. Like he would just like randomly like, I think he might hold the controller kind of in a weird way too.
I
And I
know
think
he
he
claws
accidentally
it,
hits.
like
He
the pinch
claws
grip,
it.
right?
Yeah, and I think it causes him to accidentally make mistakes like putting out a taunt, and then you do that in the wrong spot, you just get killed for it.
Yeah. I'm wondering if he bumps his taunt button, because like to do like the pinch grip, you probably have to like set your controller down, like on like rest it, because I know some people, depending on like table height, have like bumped their top buttons against like the table before and stuff like that.
Right.
Just a theory though, who knows. Well, on to Maha, who I think we knew going into this year. Like, I remember seating discussions back at SmashCon. Some people were like, "Oh, like how do we treat this Maha guy?" But I think most of the people in the know were like, "Yeah, he's really, really good. We need to seat him pretty good," and he definitely proved himself, I think.
Yeah, I mean, the way he performs in Japan, you have to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
But obviously, you can see here with his wins. I mean, beating Hammerheart, Low, Crovey, Tacos, Etat, Waxy. That's all fantastic. And he only lost to 5 people.
Yeah.
Beating Hammerheart is really impressive. It's a pretty exclusive club.
Especially this year. I mean, Hammerheart went to 3 tournaments and lost to like
5 people.
Yeah, like insane floor, man.
And one of them was Maha, so like that's incredible.
Wait, so all of his losses were against like top 15 then, huh?
Yeah. Top 16.
Yeah, pretty much. Like
That's
Sheeman
wild.
just being Sheeman and KD being the only ones in this group, like the other 3 we haven't even seen yet. So
I think like Maha could have ended up being ranked as high as like Mercy.
Yeah.
If there was like one less loss or something.
Yeah.
It was like
Or
really
maybe
close.
One more big win, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I imagine if you beat She-Man, you're probably bumping him, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's another great win without that. Technically his worst loss.
That's wild.
Yeah.
For
I mean,
Sheeman to
Maha's.
be a worse
But
loss.
in an alternate reality, we could have seen one more loss under the name Waxy Joe. In an alternate reality.
Oh yeah.
Wild set.
True, yeah. That was just like a missed up air rest punish, right?
Pretty much. Like the up airs sent him a way that he wasn't expecting. And Maha just kind of took the reins after that and took over the set, or I guess that match, which was the end of the set. Yeah, I didn't get to watch much of Maha this year, unfortunately. He wasn't. I don't know if any of you guys got to catch some of his sets. If you want to talk about those.
Other than like the Waxy set, like I didn't get to catch much of his gameplay.
The only set that I saw was him versus Boom, and it was Boom's Kirby, and I think that was a Game 5 set.
Yeah,
and it looked rough. I mean, Boom had to play very, very patient. Maha was killing him off every time he touched him with an up tilt.
Damn. I do like
just based on these wins, Maha started in D2, right? Or was it? Yeah.
He was one of. I think he was the top D2 seed, if I recall.
Yeah. It was like there's a couple players who were like just on the cusp of being in like a D1 position.
Yeah,
it was like Maha, Mercy, and then like one other Hammerheart, I think, were like the three that were.
I think that the Japanese players, I know that Kiyoshi has said this on Twitter, that he wants to get seeded as low as possible. He wanted to be seeded in D4 this year so that he can get as many sets in as he possibly can. So he was Maha was probably pretty stoked about, getting seeded into D2.
Yeah.
I guess that's an argument for placement pools right there from Kiyoshi.
Where's Cheers at?
He would be pulling that that boom shit that he did at Shine, just losing on purpose, winning the tournament.
I don't think Maha quite had the same level of wins or the same consistency of high level wins as we saw with Joshi, but his losses being so much better.
Yeah, I mean that's just like a symptom of SmashCon. I think
yeah,
it's always tough.
It's like D1 into elimination sets,
mm-hmm.
And he only I'll try to pull up his pool.
Yeah, it's always tough ranking like the SmashCon only players.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and that's another problem we're gonna have with like Stranded coming up too.
Stranded.
But I would say Maha is where he belongs. Like could potentially be a bit higher if he like was able to snag one or two more really great wins.
Yeah,
I mean he's just a very, very skilled player.
I think at the end,
I wish I got to play him. He's like seems really
definitely.
good.
I think at the end of it, having the head-to-head loss against She-Man probably affected those two placings a little bit.
Yeah, and She-Man also, I think he might have placed the same as him as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think they both got 9th.
Yeah.
Man, it's a shame ETAB left the call. Like he's actually like somebody who's played him, so
yeah,
would have been interesting to hear his perspective. But oh well.
Those waxy games are more important. I understand.
We actually just didn't want to talk about that.
Oh, yeah, he didn't want to be reminded of this. Yeah.
No, he didn't.
Hopefully, Maha will return for another SmashCon.
It
would be
sounds
great to see.
I'm either mixing up him or Dick, but it sounds like they're coming back.
So it looks like he lost to She-Man, Alvin, and Boom in pools. So he got sent a wild card and beat Low and KD3 back to back in a 2-0 to move on to
shit.
top 32. So he had a pretty hard run because top 32 he was sent in a loser side, and so he had to go through Waxy, Power Steering Fluid Drinker, then Maha, and then got stopped by Kiro eventually. So pretty crazy run considering.
And Tacos.
Yep, Tacos.
Yeah. He ended Tacos run, which his Tacos run was great.
It was, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know if you guys anything more about Maha, but just, other than really hope to see this guy again.
Yeah, I just hope to see him back at SmashCon again, along with all the other guys who came, and maybe more,
As many as they can bring.
Yeah, so She-Man got a little bit of everything on his wins and losses, but
getting into some of the more well-traveled players.
He's kind of all over the spectrum when it comes to the wins and the losses. Yeah.
Those zero wins are looking really good.
And he's I think like Joshi wins pretty darn strong, and I think he's actually beat him 2 years straight. I don't know where the set was this year, but the one before he beat him at
Smash Xanadu this year, I'm assuming.
Yeah, at Xanadu it was the set this year.
Okay.
She-Man kind of messed him up at Xanadu.
Man. And honestly, those zero, beating zero twice in any given year is incredibly impressive, and that's probably kind of what helped bump him to the spot.
Yeah. I think She-Man and Joshi are similar in the level of their wins. but Sheeman just has way better losses. That's still like, Frank, Raichu, Huntsman are ranked in the 30s, while, some of Joshi's were unranked or, hidden bosses or expansion pack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Peruvian.
I would
Or
honestly like give the edge to Joshi on the wins, but
Mm-hmm.
there's enough of a difference with the losses, and then Maha just in between them, kind of hard to figure out where Maha goes.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Given the lack of data.
I mean, like Sheeman had just like such a volume of wins, though. It's like
Yeah.
like the top.
Yeah.
It's like the top level ones, and then a bunch of like mid level
Mhm.
ones. He tapped 3 times, very strong. Waxy,
Yeah.
JPX, EG. Had to beat up on
Yeah,
his boy
twice.
Kaioken, so that's unfortunate. But
Blonde Kid, OJ, Paco. I mean, there's just a range of wins of so many different, characters and players that it's just very impressive.
Yeah, definitely. Like some of like Josh being above him might have just boiled down to him being 0-2 against him on the year. Because I imagine we'll get to Josh, but I imagine the results are kind of similar otherwise. Josh probably having a stronger 4 though.
yeah, at Battle of the Border, Sheeman was starting to let the the floor like leak a little bit with the losses to Huntsman and Frank, but still not too
It should
bad.
have been.
All things considering.
It should have been to me as well. We won't get into it.
Yeah, so I've heard you two had a very close set at that tournament.
Yeah. Anyways, back to She-Man.
It's definitely it's like a small drop from where he was ranked last year, right?
Yeah.
Which was like
Yeah.
11th, I think, or 12th.
10th, 11th, or 12th. I don't remember. I
Definitely
do
not
think,
10th.
Okay.
Wasn't top 10. I know that it was 11 or 12.
Okay.
But I mean, being ranked this high 2 years in a row speaks to
Mhm.
his
I do
consistency as a
think that
player.
the
Yeah. And
We had
just
a
how
higher-
good he is against like our top level NA players as well. Like some of them being like consistently beating them, like trading sets with dogs is always very impressive at this point. And like I think maybe before the year, because we didn't know exactly where Hero Pie was, I find those wins very impressive to get 2 over him as well.
Mhm. I think that the number of really high level players were just more this year. There's just a higher number of them than there were last year. So that could be, a reason why he's a couple more spots down as well.
Yeah, I think Hammerheart wasn't ranked last year, right?
No, he
No.
wasn't.
Ended
Yeah,
up a
he's
hidden
and-
boss.
hidden boss.
And Kiyoshiki wasn't ranked last year either. But we'll get to him, I'm sure. But anyway.
Maybe not today.
Maybe not today. Well,
If we want to spoil some things, maybe, huh?
oh man.
All right. What about Bark?
Bark Sanchez. Let's see what this year was looking like.
This guy supposedly fell off this year. Let's take a look.
Supposedly.
Yeah, like I don't know how many players would have this top row of wins and say they had a bad year, but Josh is one of them.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess like if you look at the losses, like you'd probably like him to see him win some of those, but it's still really good, all things considered.
Yeah, I'm sure Josh feels like he could have beaten JKR, could have beaten Kicks, Crovey,
Yeah.
etc. Dogs, like trade sets with him at least.
Yeah, because normally I remember last year he definitely had a winning record versus dogs, and now he went 0 for 2. So he probably feels that he's slipping in terms of, maybe people passing him. But then you look at his wins, and it's like, well,
Yeah,
Yeah.
what a resume. I mean, Josh always being so consistent throughout the
Mhm.
years, so well traveled.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, are there losses that are not listed there, or?
No, that's all of them.
Oh wow! All right. Well, then he had a much better year than I thought.
yeah. I mean, he only lost to very high level people.
Yeah, the only one that's like a little hard to place is JKR, obviously.
Yeah.
Uh, but like I said, he's a very strong player in Peru. Has made like top 8s there before and stuff in their big tournaments.
Yeah, if anything, it just shows how strong JKR is for being able to beat Josh.
Yeah.
So Neil,
has-
do you
he doesn't
think
give up-
he's
he doesn't give up
falling
easy,
off
man.
still?
No, I mean honestly, I thought he had a worse year than he did, going by some of these wins, and yeah, I mean the
He didn't have a
losses
great run
are-
at SmashCon. He was another victim of the super death pool. Didn't make it out into winner's side bracket.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I
look
think he
at his
I think he
losses.
came 5th in the pool.
Yeah, and he ended up losing his first round in top 32, I think, in losers.
Yeah, I think that is right.
Who
Because
was
so
that against again?
unfortunate. It was an unfortunate hard set. I forget who he played in bracket.
I'll look it up real quick.
So for SmashCon, if you get out on winner's side, that guarantees you no worse than 17th, right?
Yeah.
He
Whereas
had
in
he had
losers,
kicks round 1 in losers.
Kicks, okay.
So that's where the
Yeah.
kicks loss came from.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was a Pika Ditto, I'm assuming. And
Yeah,
kicks
for
put that
sure.
one 3-0.
Yeah. A little surprising, honestly, knowing how good Josh is at the Ditto.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it shows how strong Kicks is at that matchup too.
Yeah, I think
he
it,
had
it might just boil down to that for Josh. I know he's underperformed usually at SmashCon, and that's what we consider kind of our like World Cup of the year.
Who did Josh actually lose the Pika Ditto to other than kicks? It would have just been like
Nah,
Low.
Hero and
Low.
oh right, low.
Nax.
At
Xanadu.
SmashCon or any tournament.
Just any tournament,
Definitely Nax as well.
yeah.
I beat him in Picadillos at Smashtoberfest, but
Ooh.
that was also in our losers rematch because he beat me in the Pika Ditto and Pika Falcon in Winterside, so we traded there.
Oh, okay.
Mm. But yeah, I
But
mean,
yeah,
I
he
know,
lost.
like,
He lost to Low at Xanadu for sure.
it could be understandable why he like felt kind of disappointed with himself because there have been past years where he's gone like top 8 at SmashCon, so but just like with how high the level of play is now, it's hard, man, to get there.
It's crazy. It's crazy to think about like 15 for Josh, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think about how that's like a down year for him because that's still an excellent rank.
Yeah.
Yeah. True.
Yeah, because he's
Honestly,
still
most-
kind of showing dominance against like that, what we consider that mid level. And it's really just like, I mean, like we said, JKR is a bit of a mystery, but just
Yeah.
watching how he performs at Peruvian tournaments and how he did at Inca Fest, we
I have to
know how
imagine
good
that
he is.
he might be a little frustrated that all of his wins are Americans. All of his good wins are Americans, essentially. And then some of his losses like JKR and like Jaime, Crovey, they're out of region. Maybe
Wait,
Josh
so
still
am I
had a-
American or am I not a good win?
Oh, Freight, yeah, Freight.
Well, I will say his Chars win is pretty impressive, like probably more impressive than it kind of appears on here.
Yeah. Charge is good.
The point I'm trying to get here is these are people that he's beaten before.
Yeah.
So maybe he wants like new wins. Who's to say?
The NA merchant.
I think he definitely wanted more in Peru.
Mhm.
Yeah.
With all that being said, he still had a couple of really good tournaments. Smashtober, he got 4th, and on his way to 4, I mean, he beat me in winners. He beat Beeman in winners before top 8, I think, like winners quarter. Might have only been about 3, but he beat Beeman. And then
Yeah,
at Xanadu,
Good Xanadu, too,
he was. Yeah, he had a rough pool. I remember seeing him in the parking lot, like between pools and final bracket. I remember talking to him, and we were kind of both in the same boat. We both kind of had a rough pool. We were a little shaky going into the bracket, and I mean, he ended up eliminating me at that tournament. He finished for what, 4th at Xanadu,
Mm-hmm.
3rd, something like that. So yeah, he definitely still had a couple of really good events.
Definitely.
Josh still feels really strong. I don't know what it is. I think he just maybe needs to get some confidence back. But
Yeah.
I mean, just playing Josh from time to time over the last year, he still feels like extremely good.
Yeah, 100%. It might just come down to like a tournament day thing too. Like, I'm wondering if
Absolutely.
he's getting into his head about just past performances at SmashCon and maybe putting too much pressure on himself, like in elimination sets. But
it's hard to
hard to
travel
say.
too. Everyone knows Josh has been one of the most, if not the most, like frequent traveler as far as just going around the country and the world
Yeah.
at this point for Smash. And it's really hard to travel and still like feel at your, like, I know we're playing video games, but like, still feel at your best physical form. It's hard to travel. I love Keystone every year because it's like a major, but I drive 20 minutes, right?
Yeah.
But it definitely is like, really hard to keep up a consistent level of play when you're putting a lot of effort into just getting to the tournament.
Yeah, you
It
have
only
to be
takes
able
like
to
one.
hit
It
like
only
a
takes one
nice.
thing to like go wrong during your trip, and you're like, "Fuck," and then you're pissed, and it's like
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is tough. You almost have to hit like a nice reset button when you get in town if you're like making it a weekend. You're not sleeping in the same bed. Could be some rowdy roommates. You just got to wake up and just get after it. It can definitely be tough.
Yeah, definitely. All right.
When we flew in for Crovy Fest, we spent the first night in the airport.
Oh man.
Yeah, and those are the kinds of things I'm talking about. Whether it's like you
Yeah.
forgot something, or your sleeping arrangement isn't great, or I mean, these are all like underrated aspects of traveling and just feeling mentally and physically well before a tournament.
Mhm.
For
I
sure.
just want to say, Frank, like I tried, man, but it just seemed like you guys were committed to doing that, so I didn't stop you.
It seemed like the right option. I mean, we didn't get to the fucking airport until like 2:30 in the morning or something.
Yeah, that's rough.
The flight was delayed super hard.
Damn.
But that was like not even the night before the tournament. The whole day, like Friday and then Friday night to sleep for the tournament and all that. So it was all right.
Yeah.
Could have been a lot worse. So are we moving on to Mercy now?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm down.
Mercy. Another SmashCon only guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
I will say
outside
just between his last two Smash Cons, he's had like a very, very impressive collection of wins and losses.
Yeah.
But it's just hard to rank him when we're just looking at the one tournament.
That's always a problem that we have to face. It's never going to get easier for people that only go to one thing.
Yeah. I know in our panelist group, he was kind of contentious between 14 and 13 spot as well.
Oh,
sorry,
yeah.
Brad. Didn't mean to cut you off 100 times.
No, you're good. I think that outside of the top half of the top 10, he's got the best set of losses. Only to 4 people. And, those are 4.
Those are incredible players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw him tweeting a little earlier too. He seemed like sort of on the side of, oh, I'm not ranked high enough,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
which is fair.
Yeah, fair enough.
I remember when we were talking about like Mercy versus Dogs, the thing I said was basically like Mercy's performance at SmashCon was a like higher ceiling than
Mm-hmm.
any performance that Dogs put up throughout the year. It's just that like Dogs was performing at such a high level for like 6 or 7 tournaments or maybe more, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
like
that has to be
Mercy's was
valid.
just the one tournament.
He
So
avenged his Antoine losses from the year before.
it kind of comes down to if you like think that performing this well at one tournament is enough, or if you give the edge to someone who didn't do on average quite as well, but went to like so many more events and played so many more matches.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
at a certain point you have to, you know, give it to someone attending a little bit more.
I agree, 100%.
It was like an insane SmashCon for Mercy, though.
It was.
He didn't have any like wins that I would say were like amazing for him, but like made top 8 for like the first time since probably 2015, which doesn't really count as a SmashCon to me.
I mean, that's 3 top 10 wins or 20 wins in one tournament.
Yeah, very impressive.
Yeah, the only counter argument I could really think of is it's just that one tournament was SmashCon and has the highest level of play that we'll see all year. So there's kind of a strong head-to-head argument because you can at least look at like you can isolate both their performances at SmashCon even if it's not like the most fair thing to do. But I think it's fine to lean either way. And I think it's typically better for the scene if we are rewarding attendance rather than not.
It's hard to balance.
It is for sure.
If Mercy had won any of those 4 sets that he has as a loss, would have been like a top 10 player easily.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think so.
I think it's hard to balance whenever you're talking about 2 players that have a like completely opposite body of work. Like you brought up Dogs Johnson, who's been to so many things, right? And like compared to Stranded at or compared to Mercy at SmashCon, Mercy had that like real pop off performance for the most part, right? Dogs Johnson was a bit more consistent, nothing like too like excellent year, right? Nothing too crazy, but he just consistently did very well at everything he went to. So it's hard. It's hard to compare guys that are polar opposites like that. I think it's easier to compare if you're comparing Mercy to someone that only attended SmashCon as well, or only attended SmashCon and one other thing, right? Like that's a little bit easier. It's a little bit more apples to apples.
I think it's important to value people making themselves vulnerable by going to more events, right?
Yeah.
You have way more chances to get that upset loss that just can destroy your ranking. So I think you gotta value it.
For sure, it's all a balancing act. Like you don't want to go too far in the opposite direction and start being like the true skill like ELO ratings where they vastly overrate attendance, right? You don't want to go too far in that direction, but I mean, most communities, most PRs do pretty heavily value, like you said, making yourself vulnerable.
Right.
Yeah,
very good player. I think everyone knows that Mercy's ceiling is probably higher than the ranking he ended up at this year, and it's mainly just because he didn't have more opportunities at SmashCon to take sets off of like big names. But it is what it is. Just like a solid ranking for someone who like showed like by far like the highest floor of like anyone in this range. Wasn't able to get enough of those big wins to end up higher on the list.
I'm kind of wondering how close some of those sets were too, because I know he had beaten Nex the year prior, but I wasn't able to catch their set this year.
Yeah, I haven't seen any. Well, I saw the Kiro set in top 8.
Yeah,
and I commented in the
Isaiah set.
Yoshi and Fox, yeah.
I know because he beat Nax with Fox the prior year, right, in pools.
Yeah.
Yep.
Crazy.
I think Fox against Kirby.
I don't know who he used against Sheeman or Low, but I know the Crovy one was with Fox as well.
I would think Low,
or they were both with Yoshi. I think.
I was going to say I would think Low would be with Yoshi. I don't think he would use Fox against Low.
I know against Sheeman, that one was on the big screen, and I'm pretty sure he would. They did a little bit of everything, so As far as like the beginning of the set, like Stranded took game 1 with Yoshi and then immediately switched to Fox. I think he ended up losing the counter pick there, and I think he just locked in Yoshi the rest of the set. But I could be a little wrong on that, but most of his quality wins in that set were with Yoshi.
Used Yoshi against Isaiah too in that set. I remember watching that one.
Yeah, I
Commentating
know.
it.
And I got to catch some of the Wizrobe set live. I think the game that he took in the set was in the Ditto, but he tried a little bit of Yoshi and Fox in that set as well.
Wizzy's too good against Fox.
He definitely is. Probably, I mean, he might be the best player against Fox that we've seen. He's definitely up there in contention with like the other people we think of as like, oh, I want to imagine them to lose to Fox ever, you know?
Mm-hmm. All right, anything else about Mercy?
He's been playing online a bit more lately, and it's been fun to get some games in with him.
I've been seeing you in that PTSD monthly chat.
Yeah. He's still
That'll
as
be
good
good.
as advertised. And he also has a cranked remix cast as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. I hope he goes to Keystone this year and then also SmashCon, so it makes it easier for us, of course. He can be more accurate.
Yeah, and maybe he's knocking on the door in some of these losses as well. I mean, he's shown that he's beaten Nax before, at least. And I imagine they're like Wizrobe and Karo, their floors are just so like tight compared to the rest of the scene, so they're a little harder to break through, I think.
Yeah, I wanna see him play a Pika Ditto set with Kiro again someday.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That was like that was sick as fuck last time they did that. I don't even remember when it was. It was so long ago.
One of them was at one of the OD.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever gonna happen.
Yeah, probably not.
I don't think it'll ever happen, but I'd love to see him pull out the Falcon again. But
yeah.
Yeah, I guess Yoshi and Fox is his balance of viability and fun for him. So, because I mean, it's been talked about before, but he probably is one of the best 12 CB casts in North America as well. But yeah, I think I've said enough about our guy here. Probably move on to Dogs, who, like we said, look at this list, easily one of the most traveled players this year, and a lot to show for it as well.
He has a win on like everyone.
Yeah.
Arizona, Peru, Xanadu, the Pacific Northwest. He went to everything.
He came to Canada.
I feel like one of the only things he didn't go to was Keystone.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a little surprising you missed that
weekend
too.
For him, right, or something like that.
So, probably, because I feel like at this point, Dogs is a guy who's like, if he can make it, he's going to, is what it feels like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was working a lot that weekend.
Yeah, I think that's what I seem to remember. Yeah, it was like he couldn't afford to miss it, like miss work that weekend, so he wasn't able to go to Keystone. But still, so many tournaments.
Yeah, he was the highest placing American at Inca Fest.
Right, at 9th, by the way, which is crazy.
Yeah. Inca Fest skill level is insane.
Yeah, I know he talked a bit about them changing the tournament structure, like in the middle of the tournament, which I think messed with his progression. Like he was supposed to move on to bracket at some point, and they like changed it to top 8 or something, and he wasn't able to. It's a little bizarre, but he still had an impressive Inca Fest, I think, though, despite that. Probably some sets he wants back there, but his JKR set, watching that live was super impressive. I know JKR swapped to the rare Kirby and Dogs kind of turned up when he needed to in that set.
Oh yeah, they're like what D1 pool. It was like Dogs and Josh and like Karaba or something, right?
Yeah, it's just
yeah.
Just all
really
people
weird.
who've played each other before. Didn't get to see like as much of Dogs and Josh against like the top
Yeah.
Peru players as we
Crossover.
would
Yeah,
have wanted.
yeah. 'Cause he played. Did you play Joshi there too?
Yep,
Yeah.
Okay.
Joshi
Yeah.
knocked him out.
Damn.
But overall remained really consistent throughout the year. I mean, if you look at the losses, Stradon's a bit of a mystery. But obviously he's still a very skilled player. But it's just hard to tell exactly where that stands.
Stradon beat
So,
Yoshi.
so
He beat Wizzy at Inkafest 1.
yeah,
he's,
but Wizzy got the run back later that tournament versus him.
He did.
But,
He did.
yeah, but yeah, like
Stradon is clearly like a really, really good player.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
CTG being like his worst loss, and
And that's
even
a
then he traded
1-1.
sets with him.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, Frey, I was gonna say like most of the losses here, like outside of your kind of god tier players, like their trades or he's just up on them. Like 3-1 on
Stradon,
Caleb.
for the record, only lost to Gerson, Elvin, and Karaba at Inkafest.
Insane.
yeah,
To give you like an idea of the floor we're talking about.
for sure.
With
Yeah,
some of these top Peruvians.
Yeah, and like you said, a lot of his losses were like traded with like CTG, Caleb, Frey. I mean, he could have had
Yeah.
another loss down there that wasn't traded, but we won't talk about that. But
Yeah, Dogs, I feel like these past 2 years has just consistently gotten better and better and better and better.
Yeah.
And I mean, just look at that list of wins. It's like he basically beat everybody who's like active.
hmm
Other than, yeah, I guess the couple people that are ahead of him, but incredibly consistent player, great game knowledge. It's good to see him still pushing to get better. It's
Oh,
nice.
what's up?
Yo, what up, Supa?
I know I'm kind of an hour late to this thing, but I'm always late to everything. I am that guy that like shows up and like, oh, I thought it was, it was 2 o'clock and it's 3.
Oh,
I am
did-
that guy.
We did start
Oh
early
yeah,
tonight,
it's like
to
that
be
time
fair.
I was at a train station for an hour waiting for you.
oh no.
Damn.
I'm sorry, you got mead. Get mead.
It's okay.
Not fuck, man.
I don't actually mean to do it. It's
The
just kinda
IRL poning.
it just happens like that.
I had
Yeah.
already been traveling for like 18 hours at that point, so it didn't really bother me.
Oof.
What's one more?
Exactly.
Dogs Johnson. It's amazing what hard work and just a willingness to work with yourself can
I think
really
it's a testament
show.
to his dedication.
Yeah. Like I've seen his streams before and I'll just be taking notes and stuff.
hmm
I'm sure he checks them more than once. Like I'm sure like when he goes into a tournament he's got like a notepad in his mind, or if he
Yeah.
doesn't have it, he'll go check and
I'd say
what he needs to do.
it is really cool to see somebody that you came into the scene with, sort of like me, Andy, Dogs. Our scenes came around together at the same time, and back in like 2015, 16, we were getting beat by everyone else when we went out of region. So to see somebody like finally crack through and really become like a top player, it makes it easy to root for. It's very cool to see.
Yeah.
I think people are gonna stop clowning on the Midwest very soon. If not, they haven't already.
I would hope they haven't. We have enough people now that are
Yeah,
doing
it was always the East is just the best region, Midwest who, and I just don't think that's true anymore.
No. I mean,
Who's the next best Midwest player on the rankings?
probably EG.
Beef than EG, I think.
Beef and
But
I-
they're like 2 spots apart.
Yeah.
Oh. Should I start listing all of the East players that are between them?
EG
Well, we
should be a
don't-
lot
we don't-
higher, to be fair.
Midwest bias. running the rankings.
Yep. Tell him, Trey. Tell him, Trey.
We need more drama in this community.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, back when we first started, obviously we weren't very good. I don't think we got a ranked player until like 2018, 19.
No, Subo was ranked in 2017.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
he had that crazy SmashCon run where he beat Mr.
Oh.
Sir, a Samus main with Falcon.
I actually don't. I don't remember how I got on the rankings that year. I played. I don't know. It's a blur to me. I don't have
Well-
anything to say about that year.
2017 was a hard year to get ranked.
Yeah, it was.
mean, at the
Hipster
same
was
time-
ranked in 2016, but maybe he was West Coast still back then.
At the same
No, I think
time,
he
it
was
easy-
indie back then.
At the same time, it was easier to get ranked back then because, like, Super was able to get ranked despite losing to Waxy Joe at Let's Go, and whoever at Don't Park on the Grass.
I think
Damn.
those rankings were also made by like sending a ballot to 50 people saying rate all of these players 1 to 10 on how good you think they are, and then like averaging it,
Mm.
which is far
Nah.
more questionable methodology than what's being done these days.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, it resulted in fairly accurate looking rankings that represented
There-
the community
yeah.
of the time pretty well. So
There's a funny
So-
story about Dog Johnson actually, and it's come up. When I was back then, I had, I've made some developments as a human being, but before I was a little cocky, right? Because I thought, I did well online to a relative degree, and then I think I was talking to Frey, and I'm like, oh yeah, Dogs Johnson, and I'm like, Dogs fucking Johnson, and I laughed, and then he like beat me at the Ohio
Mm.
month that we went to.
That
And
probably
like Frey just
Oh
never
yeah,
let
that
it
mom's
down.
tournament.
Yeah, he never let it down that I said that because Frey was like, I don't know, man, he seems all right. And I was like, no way, I'm gonna lose to Dogs. Who I'm gonna lose to someone named Dogs Johnson?
and look at him now.
Look at him now.
Look at him now.
Mhm.
13.
He's Dogs Johnson. Everyone.
Yeah.
probably the best player to ever have an underscore in their tag.
Oh.
Damn.
We've got
Yeah.
some innuendos. We got Master Handjob, Dogs Johnson, Dong Boner Storm. Well, that's not an innuendo. That's just
It's pretty on the nose.
Is
Yeah.
Dogs the only player to ever have an underscore in his tag that has been ranked? I
Luce-
need the statistics
oh
on
yeah,
this.
Lucanus.
I'm not sure. Not
might
too
be.
sure.
He might be. We'll have to go and do some research.
Yeah, I don't see any other underscores for this year, but
I wonder how that happened. Has he ever explained the lore behind the underscore?
there's some periods. KO Ken. Okay.
True.
Waxy Joe with his colon.
The colon.
Maybe his tag just really goes back to the back of the day, 'cause, like before like the space bar existed, you need
Oh,
to
yeah.
show the space bar.
Yeah, true.
That's probably it.
But yeah, Dogs really shows how hard work will pay off. Like a lot of people, all I want to say is a lot of people, they want to play the game, right? And they just want to say, well, if I keep playing the game for X amount of time, I'll clearly just get better. And that's not
Yeah.
actually how it works.
Yeah,
to
it's like
some
true to
degree,
an extent,
yeah.
but
Yeah. You have to have a conversation with yourself. You have to be willing to actually say, okay, I'm not good at some of these things, and actually work on it. You can't just continue play. Like in a nutshell, that'll keep you, warm. It'll keep you from staying at your average. But if you really want to break your own limitations, you've got to. So I think it's what every top player really has to do.
Yeah.
Really.
If you're constantly doing the same thing wrong, you're just reinforcing that reaction to happen again in a tournament.
For sure.
Hammerheart?
Hammerheart.
Hammerheart.
Can we
The man of many names.
Can we redo the rankings?
talk about how Hammerheart went to 3 tournaments, including SmashCon and Xanadu, and only has 5 losses?
Yeah.
It's
but-
really
What?
bizarre, man.
Going back one final time to that like D1 pool that we were all in, the really hard pool. Hammerheart beat everyone in that pool except Kraba.
Yeah.
He
Yeah, and
beat
he was
Jaime,
Kraba
he
was
beat
fine.
Josh, he beat me, he beat Crovy, he beat Supa.
He almost straight up 2-0'd Karab in a flex set in
Yeah.
that as well. Hammerheart has, you talk about him having 5 losses over the course of 3 tournaments. Hammerheart, I think, out of almost anyone in that, 9, 10 to 15, 16, 17 range, he has possibly the strongest floor.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
even
Yeah.
dating back to a couple years ago, like he just, I feel like Hammerheart, if you're not at a certain level, like there's certain guys that are at a certain level that can maybe get to someone like me or possibly steal a set, right? Like I feel like Hammerheart, if you're not in that solidly within that top 20 players in the world, like he just fucking stomps you, and it's
Yeah.
not even close.
It's because, and I just want to add something that I feel like is very like telling of Hammerheart is that he is so willing to just follow his instinct, even if everyone else like questions it, but it works for him. You know what I mean? And it's so hard to get around that because he's always just going to hard read you. And it's like you feel so stupid. Like when he's on and he makes me feel like really dumb. And he
Yeah.
probably doesn't even like give me the time of day, and he's probably just thinking, "Oh, it would be really funny if I down smashed right here." And then it works, and then I feel like, how the fuck did that just work, bro?
The amount of people at our locals, whether it's like a weekly or monthly or Keystone or whatever at the lab, the amount of people that have come up to me after after a set with him and said, "Damn, he makes me feel like I don't even understand the game at all." Like the amount of people that have told me that it's insane. He
Man.
just like if you're not at a certain level, he destroys you.
He's a brick wall.
I had a fairly
Absolutely.
close set with him at SmashCon, but it was sadly not recorded.
Who did you
Dang.
play?
It
Falcon,
was
I'm
it
assuming?
was Falcon Kirby, yeah.
Yeah.
It was 3-1 for him though,
When-
so it wasn't that close. Just it was like last stock every match.
When we
Yeah.
when we sat down for a D1 pool, he gave me the nicest smile. He's like, "Are you ready to play?" And
Mhm.
because he's such a nice guy, I was completely out of it. Not that that's an excuse or anything, but it's just like he told me he did that intentionally afterwards. He's like, "Yeah, get niced on."
I was,
Nice done.
I was gonna say that's part of the strategy. You talk to him never talk to him for a couple minutes before you play him because you're like, oh, this guy's like the best fucking guy ever, and then you play him, and it's not fun. It's not enjoyable.
You'll be like
Yeah.
1-1 in set count with him. He'll just be like, "It's all tied up."
Yeah.
Man.
No, but it's crazy with him too because like his worst loss in a couple years has been someone like EG, right? And you
Yeah.
hear that, and we're so used to Hammerheart just having an absurd floor, and just his consistency. We're so used to it that losing to someone like EG, we're like, oh, holy crap, what the hell? But you look at EG, he's pretty much like a top 30 player.
Mhm.
So that's if that's your worst loss, it's like, all
Yeah,
right, well, you're doing pretty
Yeah.
well for yourself.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's no losses to Shears here. Not even something
Yeah.
close to that. His floor is insane.
I say,
He just
and those,
yeah.
those 2 Finio wins also look extremely good, despite Finio not being on the ranking. He would have been high. He was 20th last year.
Only
Yes.
lost to Hammerheart this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the
Yeah,
one
and
tournament.
I'll say historically, I mean, when Hammerheart first started showing up back in 2017, he was the best player for a little while. Like even against Finio,
When he was using like Puff and Samus.
Puff and Samus. Yeah, he was
Mario
immediately the best. He didn't really play a whole lot of Mario back then. He was a solo Samus man, and then once he realized that they're figuring out the Samus a little bit, he pulled out Puff, and we didn't touch. That kept us off his tail for a few months until we got a little bit better. But after we all kind of caught up, I feel like Finio had a leg up on the head-to-head matchup against Hammerheart. But within the last 3 years or so, I think Hammerheart's and Finio's gotten a lot better too. But Hammerheart's taken some strides, so I wasn't entirely too surprised to see him beat Finio at Keystone last year. He was playing out of his mind that day, and he was the best player in the venue.
I feel like I think of all players in this like category, even you, Katie. Like I just feel like Hammerheart has the ability to just play really fucking well one day and like completely shock everyone. Like I don't. We haven't exactly seen it yet because he's always has like a bedtime or.
I mean,
we've
we've
heard that
we've
his-
I
seen
mean,
it.
he
I mean,
swept
what about
Keystone, so like,
what
Didn't he
about
also win
what about
Apex?
Snow? What's that?
No, you won Apex, Katie. Never mind.
Oh
Never mind.
wait, I'm trying. Yeah, actually, that recent tournament where he reset you in grands was incredible. I think
Yeah,
about
we
it.
went to a game
the
10 set,
ATG
but
Expo.
even yeah. But even like against Josh at Snosa, what was that, a couple years ago?
Mhm.
Hammerheart again came through. I mean, he beat Isaiah's Mario at that tournament. He might have been Jaime too, and then he
Yeah.
came through losers. He took a set off Josh, and I think they went game 5. That might have also been a game 10 grand finals. It might have been 9 games. But either which way, he took the first set of grand finals, and then
Yeah.
took him really close in the second. So
I stand
Hammerheart.
corrected then. Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, you're generally right though. I think Hammerheart does have a hard time with, like, something like Waterfall, where we're playing Smash all day until, by the time we get into the final bracket, it's a lot of times 8-9 o'clock, if not later. So
Yeah,
I think that you're generally right about that, but sometimes he has it in him to last.
Yeah.
he just has such a sharp mind, and sometimes I don't think his hands can literally his body just cannot keep up.
Mhm.
Well, he
Sometimes.
does disgusting things with Kirby that I never thought were possible.
I thought you were gonna say he does disgusting things to his body.
Well, that too.
Well, he does have the discuss, He does have the
His body just can't keep up.
His body just can't keep up. With
Hammerheart, as the community knows, Hammerheart
So he's
does have the
tired.
body of a 72-year-old man. So, as we all know.
Does disgusting things to that body.
Yeah.
Oh
Great
man.
player, and we have another great player right above him.
Oh man.
Or is it KD time?
Like,
Who's that?
there's 3 of them.
Yeah, there's 3.
Yeah, I will say, just last thing before we move on, I think with this resume, you could have argued Hammerheart maybe a few spots higher as well, especially with how damn good that floor is, and especially like just across 3 tournaments. I don't know if anyone in this range was really that consistent on top
Yeah.
of like having that volume.
Losing only 5 games a whole year is just fucking nuts. Or losing 5 sets, not 5 games.
Yeah.
That's still fucking nuts.
Yeah,
It's still-
At 3 tournaments, 3 of the most stacked tournaments of the year. I would say it was, what did he go to? He went to SmashCon, Xanadu, and
Keystone.
Keystone.
I guess
Yeah, he won Keystone.
The only
Yeah,
thing I think that
unfortunately-
held Hammerheart back from being any higher was just not having enough top
big wins.
level wins.
Yeah.
Well, if he didn't fizzle out at Xanadu, because he pwned his, I was in his pool at Xanadu, and he pwned the pool. Like, he beat everybody. I think he 2-0'd everybody.
Yeah.
And then he just kind of fizzled out by the time we got to the bracket. If he got 1 or 2 wins in that bracket, Hammerheart, we're looking at a top 10 resume on the year.
Oh
Yeah.
That's the same with SmashCon too, because I think at SmashCon, he ended up
He got like
he had
17
to
or something.
bracket, and then he lost to Wizrobe in winners, and then Maha in losers.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right,
Didn't,
right.
didn't win
That
any
Wiz-
sets in bracket, but had that incredible run in the
That
pools.
Wizrobe set was surprisingly not very close at all. I think he might have been a little exhausted from playing Karaba the way he did. That was a very intense game 5 set.
Wizrobe was also
playing-
probably turning up a little bit throughout that tournament.
Playing
Wizrobe was
Kirby
going
like that is
insane.
fucking exhausting.
Yeah.
I play a good amount of Kirby now, and I just know if I'm playing a really good player and a really good player who spaces and doesn't just give me free punishes, it's just oh my
Mhm.
god.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you guys bring up good points though. Just kind of where he ended up on bracket, and bracket might have hurt him a little bit after his crazy pools runs.
Yeah.
Pools merchant even.
Pools merchant. Some
But-
might
Kirby
say.
special.
Hammy's a great guy. He's one of the nicest people I've ever met. It's insane. It's
The
how
funny
is
thing
such a
The
nice
funny thing
man?
about saying that is that's everybody in 64. It's you say that for everybody. You say it for Crovey or Chris. You
Brody
literally,
is very nice. Fuck.
I know it's
CTG is another candidate.
Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
What's up with
I think
these?
Hammerheart might actually be a secret psychopath.
We need to start talking about the assholes in this community and highlighting them on stream in loving fashion, you know?
It's true.
Yeah, so Katie, tell us about your year a little bit. This is maybe the biggest block of names we've seen so far.
How many names are on this list?
You just beat people. Go ahead.
No, I mean, I had a little bit, you know, I didn't go to Peru or anything, but I was a little similar to Dogs. You know, I went to a lot this year. I've always gone to a lot of tournaments. I think I traveled out of region, out of state a little bit more than I normally do, as far as like getting on a flight and traveling pretty far. But you know, I went to a lot, and you know, that allowed me to have a shot at beating a lot of people. It also opened myself up a little. You know, like I had a few losses, none of which were bad, none of which I felt like were bad losses by any means. I think I lost to B.
Somehow got sets against Robert.
What's that? I'm sorry.
You did the impossible and you got sets versus Robert.
Oh yeah.
I know it's past it, but Robert's ranked 25, but he's got the potential to beat like people in this category.
Oh
and
yeah. Well, we know that. I mean, Robert was ranked number 9 one year.
Yeah.
Number 8 or 9.
He's still a monster. It just oh my god. Go ahead.
Yeah, I got sets with Robert at the Rochester event, which he beat me at. I don't think I took a set off, and we had some close ones. And then I beat him twice at so I guess we went 2 and 2 because I beat him twice at a Grease My Stick.
Okay.
Which I don't know if that was one that qualified. I know some qualified, some didn't, but
luckily for you, your set wins against Robert counted and your losses did not.
Wow. That's epic, just according to plan, right? But
yeah, just some set win like redlining or whatever we want to call it, you know.
Hey, I foresaw that before the tournaments. Okay, I was sometimes I was trying, sometimes I was no, but no. Robert's an excellent player. I mean, I got the chance to play a lot of different people. You know, I played Hammerheart. I think I lost to him in our only. We didn't play at Apex. Wait, no, I'm going all the way back to Apex. Jesus. We only played at Xanadu. I think that was our only set on the year, and he 2-0'd me in a flex. He kind of pwned me. My only set against Finio on the year was probably my worst tournament of the year, which was Keystoned. But I don't know. I entered a lot of things. I got a chance to play a lot of different people. I played Janko a couple times, which was cool. I never played him in a set before this past year. I played him in Arizona, and I played him at the Rochester tournament. I got to play Seaman, who I always wanted to play. I got to play him twice as well. I finally got a revenge set on LD, which is exciting after getting fucking destroyed by him for years.
Yeah, I bet that was amazing.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was like trippy going back to play him because you know you play him for so long. You play him when you're on the come up and trying to get better, and he just again one of those guys, kind of like Hammerheart, where if you're not within close enough range, he just destroys you. So it was crazy. It was crazy to play him again.
What can you tell us about your win on Moon Shoes?
Oh yeah,
that's a big one.
The rare Moon Shoes win opportunity. He doesn't enter a whole lot anymore these days.
Yeah, what did he enter that counted to rankings? Was it one of the GMS tournaments?
It was GMS, yeah.
I just wanted to say, Katie, I love.
Did he not do SSC? He did Xanadu.
I love talking mentality with you. We've had some conversation about it. I think you have a fantastic mentality, and sometimes I think about it too. Like I think he told me that, you know, you don't want to let your ancestors down. You might as well try. And I'm like, yeah, that's a good point. You know.
Yeah. You're put on this earth. You're gonna waste one opportunity to get. I know. Yeah, it's like we're just playing a. I joke around too with you when we've talked about that before because it's kind of like it's a dramatic thing to say about like you know playing a fucking video game, but. No, for sure. I mean, you owe it to yourself, and you owe it to so many other things to you know to try and you know try your best and.
It's a great outlook.
Try to have fun in whatever way is important to you. For you know, to me, it's you know, winning is fun. You know, doing cool things in the game is fun. Like that's all it's about for me.
Yeah. So unless I miscounted, KD3 has wins on 31 unique players who were ranked, so almost half of the rankings. And then also like almost everyone in the expansion pack too.
That's wild, dude.
Yeah, you have 44 individual ranked wins.
Damn. That's like
You're
2/3
killing
of
that.
the 2/3 of the community.
Your
dude.
your ancestors are really proud of you. They're like, "What the fuck is the Smash Brothers?"
And it wasn't enough for top 10. All right, who the fuck do I have to talk to on this? No, but I mean, 11 still feels like quite an accomplishment. Even though I mean, it was hard. I knew it was going to be hard to match. 2022. It would have required another Wario-esque win, but
Yeah,
I mean,
this is,
I'll take 11. All the people, a few people I'm above are insane players. So
Yeah, I think
This
it
is
was
the
harder
I'm
this
happy with it.
year. It was harder
This was
this
a
year
hard
too.
year. I agree
Yeah.
it was. This was a tough fucking year. Everyone's so good now. Like people say it all the time, but it really is true. Like the mid level is not the
Mhm.
same mid level it was a few years ago.
Yeah,
I think
and more people.
yeah, there's been some catch up too. So like, I can see like a KD3 from now, like taking it to Marilas in his, in his prime.
no doubt.
But that's all hypothetical. I'm sure people are not really interested in the hypotheticals. We can't
Well,
actually turn back
if you want to
time.
see it for sure, Katie, go ahead and go to Sunset Blast, March 24th and 25th in Mexico.
The week after Keystone is going to be tough.
Well, we got to see the hypothetical come into fruition.
Yeah, no, I had a lot of really contentious sets. A lot of top players that I would say are like within my range where I traded sets with them. I think this year I went 1-1 with Dogs.
Yeah.
I think I went 2-2 with Zero, although he beat me. I think the two that he beat me in were best of fives, and I beat him in best of three pools both times. So Jaime, I think I went 1-2 with. So I mean, there's a lot of contentious. I've entered enough tournaments where, it makes it hell for you guys. How do you rank that shit? But
1 and 2 with
I don't know.
Josh as well.
Yeah.
What was my set count with Josh?
1 and 2 in terms of wins and losses that were at.
Oh yeah, he beat me at Xanadu, and then we traded at Smashtober. So yeah.
Yeah, no, great year. I just wanted to add to that point about ancestors and stuff. Just because I'm thinking about it, I was just gonna say that people we often want to say like, oh, go do something great, make lots of money. And I'm not trying to be too hammy about it, but it's like just fucking do what makes you happy, right? Like, fuck it. If it makes you happy to play Nintendo games that only have like 200 people that enter every year for their super major, whatever.
We had 579 qualifiers for the rankings this year.
I also spent a lot of time thinking about KD3's ancestors.
I'm
Powerful
glad
online.
I'm not the only one.
Do they visit
Yeah.
you as well?
It's like a Mulan situation going on.
579.
Maybe
Yeah,
maybe
that's
maybe that's
79.
what KD does. The ancestors curse people who play against him.
Yeah.
Well,
I,
we need
I
to
could feel
start
it in my
talking.
bones in some of my sets, but I
It's
didn't want
like
to
you're
say
playing
it.
against his whole
Madness.
dynasty and not just like the man himself.
Dude, it's the Avatar state, man.
He's his avatar. Oh damn, KD's got the avatar state. So
Can we all attain that, or is it just him? That's the
I
question.
think it's just
What?
him to get 11th on the ranking. Like, it's
Yeah.
there's only one Avatar at a time, right?
No.
Hey, someone told me earlier. Hey, if I average out my last 2 years, if we average it out, I'm top 10. All right, that's what matters
all
to
that-
me.
That is all that matters.
I think
No,
probably the only
contention
thing that
here, though.
held it back was, like you pointed out, the like even or losing records against a lot of people who are kind of
Mhm.
ranked around this like bubble of players. But I mean the winning records against like the majority of people kind of speaks for itself.
Yeah.
It's pretty insane.
I think what hurt me a lot was kind of having a down tournament at Keystone. If I could have won that or maybe got second, could have made a difference. I mean,
Yeah.
that was like my down. That was my down tournament on the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you had a couple more losses than I'd expect you to have, but you had an overwhelming amount of wins. You can't deny it.
yeah, that's an insane list.
I don't think anybody else beat half of the people on the rankings.
No.
Yeah, even like if you're talking lifetime, it's like this all of this in 1 year is really wild to look at.
So something I thought was missing from the rankings discussion is talking about where we think like people will go like next year. Like, will certain people will move up or stay the same? I thought that would be interesting to talk about because I felt like that's always a captivating.
I agree with that sentiment. I think it's very difficult. I mean, obviously predicting the future is like impossible to do, but you know,
It's
when
fun
you're
to just shoot the shit about it a little bit. Go ahead.
right.
I think we should publish some Vegas lines on it, you know.
Yeah.
You like
Well,
over under certain ranks for certain players and
Yeah.
we
Is
can
odds
it-
say
odds
that
favorite for most improved.
KD3 just had like a hot start to the year, taking ATG Expo over Hammerheart.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. That was
Hammerheart now has 2 losses for the year already. That's almost 5.
Ooh.
yeah.
Really.
Oh shit.
He's already almost at half of his amount of losses from last year.
I missed the conversation for Crovey, but I think he's just gonna keep going up and up. That guy, I've been able to peek into his his regimen for improving, and it's absurd. And he'll just grind something out until it works. That's why now when people do like the down airs, tech chases, it's just the Crovey because he just made it like his
Well-
thing. 'Cause he's so fucking consistent at it.
Yeah.
The fucked up thing about all these people in this range specifically, I think like 8 out of the 10 people we looked at said, "Hey, next year I'm going to do even better." Fuck, man.
Yeah,
I think
that's
I
a
think
scary
Josh was the only one that was like, I'll never learn.
I did.
I have a hard time imagining Hammerheart saying that he was going to do better either, because he kept saying this year he thought he was going to be ranked like 16 or 17.
Oh no.
Man. That's wild.
Too good. These guys are too good. I mean,
Yeah.
I personally think that getting ranked like 11 through 15 this year was similar to getting in like the lower 10s like any year previous.
I was talking to Hammerheart like a day or two ago about our like D1 pool at SmashCon, because he was saying like how stacked it was. Like I placed 6th in the pool and I was ranked 21st, and then like all the other, like 5 people above that. He's like, they robbed us, man, and I was like, dude, you fucking beat everybody except Krava. He basically won that pool.
Yeah. And he like almost beat Karava. It's the crazy part.
Which is an impossible matchup for Kirby to win anyway, so that's even more impressive.
Yeah.
I was looking down the list, just even
I don't
down to 64, and there's like nobody here who I'm like, yeah, they don't, they're all killers. I don't know.
Karava hasn't lost a set to Kirby on NA soil since Fukuru, I think. Which is
I think so, yeah.
really wild.
Speaking of which, I'm
If,
probably going to watch that set when we're done here.
If we do a lot more tournaments with round robin pools, Hammerheart will continue to impress, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Round robin pools into just the winner.
We should just do a round robin tournament. Hammerheart would be rank 1.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We'll give him one of those. It'll start like nice and early. So he can really kind of pump his rankings doing that.
Oh yeah.
And we'll make sure his is the hardest pool too, just to bring it all together.
I feel like Hammerheart's one of those people where it's always like you look at his results at the end of the year and you're like, wait, really?
Yeah.
He's just so good. It's messed up.
He is, man.
Yeah. And like what was said earlier, like if you're trying to play against him and you're like a certain amount worse than him, like he just like clowns on you, pretty much.
He does. Yeah, he will. He will absolutely just clown on you, and he won't even like think about it. Like I said, like
Well,
not even,
he'll
like,
be he'll be laughing at you while he does it too.
So congratulations to Hammerheart for coming out on top in the 20-11 discussion. It was a close second for Crovey.
Yeah.
I miss the Curvy talk.
We talked about Crovey for like 15 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was a while.
About Crovey, so yeah.
He's just, I don't know. Curvy just I'm scared of that guy a little bit when it comes to the game.
He's
No
pretty
doubt.
good. Yeah.
All right.
Any last thoughts, guys?
I mean,
Yeah, you could just gotta play
Good.
Ness. Chris knows.
Okay.
What
Okay.
was that phrase?
I said you just gotta play Ness.
Oh yeah.
Damn.
But I will say, the last thing I'll say is like, really all that's left is like, without getting into it, it's like the people that are left are really just like the super elite, like for the most part,
Yeah,
pretty much.
I would consider them world class. Like once you, I kind of like, you kind of look at it like, and I think someone told me this. You kind of look at like each kind of, 20 to 11, 30. It's like, okay, these players can like have the potential to like beat another. It's like a tiering, and then you get to 10, and it's like, yeah, you're world class if you're top 10, which makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
like I mentioned earlier how like like a lot of players have gotten so good to the point where they can like really just pull off just about any upset. Like I mean, even some of these players in this grouping like
yeah,
have like losses to people like 10 or 20 spots below them. But I think
Yeah.
once you get to that like around that top 10 mark, that kind of stops happening.
yeah. So yeah, like, and even these rankings right now, I can see like them taking sets off like a top 10. Like they have
Yeah.
the potential to do it. That's why they're here.
Yeah.
So it would be really interesting to see if there's going to be kind of a shift in this exact like
Well,
tiering
I
of
believe
like 20, 11, 10.
I believe it the top 7 only lost sets to other top 7 members,
Yeah.
if I recall correctly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is like it really just feels like once you get to that point, like they're really only losing to each other, pretty much.
Yeah, so I know it's spoilers and probably not spoilers really, but Nax, man. That guy,
Mm.
oh my god.
I mean,
He's
he really busted on the scene, didn't he?
when
We'll get to it tomorrow.
True.
all right, I'll keep it in. I'll keep it in. Just fucking he just hits you and you die. I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
All right, congratulations to everyone in this
Congrats, yeah.
range. KD, congratulations.
I think he
Oh, he's not even
left,
here.
but yeah. But maybe he'll
Bummer.
watch back on stream.
Hopefully.
Yeah,
All right.
Congrats to Katie for being in that, like getting those like super elusive players to get wins on, like Robert, Janko,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
LD. Only 3 people beat LD this year, so that's pretty exclusive club.
Yeah, that's crazy.
One of them just happens to be in this chat right now.
Robert,
What are the
Robert's like
odds?
the post game boss of like the 64 community, He just
Yeah,
shows up.
yeah.
He's like extra content, but he's like really fucking hard.
I'm gonna head out. Have a good night, y'all.
I mean,
Yeah, good night.
all right,
Yeah, good night.
I'm out of here too.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks for
Good
having me.
night. Thank you.
Good night.